Shall we play a game?
We got Star Wars Unlimited. We got classic Star Wars games. We got old school D&D, independent RPGs, mini painting, Warhammer, of course, tons of other games. But first, we're gonna need some coffee here on Board Barista Productions.
Hey everybody, it's Fen, and
it's Tanya. Welcome to Retro Reviews.
So I'm doing some Coke for my drink of choice this week. What do you got for drink?
Carbonated water and cran raspberry with the Stitch and the Grinch.
So basically a virgin Manhattan? No, Cosmopolitan.
Yeah. Virgin Cosmopolitan.
All right. Well, in retro review style, we got to introduce what we're covering tonight. We got Dragon Magazine number 311. This is why I am having caffeine at such a late recording time, because I just got out of work and I am exhausted. I fell asleep like 3 times.
Yikes. I just drove my kid to school this morning and came back and took a nap.
I wish I could do that. I was at the school with the kids.
Well, it was 2.5 hour drive down, then like a 3-hour drive back. I was gone quite a while.
Well, that's a long commute. It only takes me like 15 minutes to get in. But anyways, we're off topic already. All right, so this issue of Dragon Magazine is the Spellcaster focus issue for the updates from 3rd edition to 3.5. First article in the magazine is up on a soapbox. Again, this is Gary Gygax's column. When they started doing 3rd edition, they brought Gary back to D&D because he had separated during the AD&D right before AD&D 2nd edition came out. They fired him from the company and then sold TS. And once TSR got sold to Wizards, Wizards was like, let's bring Gary back. So they gave him his every month they gave him a column to talk about stuff in Dragon Magazine. This month is What's in a Magic Item. Gary tells the story of his son Luke's character's favorite magical item, a displacer cloak, went off adventuring on. The father used the adventure and the loss to teach that things aren't as important as life. Like that whole thing of your character lost your gear, but the character's still alive. So yeah, good little life lesson. Next article is a sneak preview for the D&D miniatures. So with the release of 3.5, WizKids also started doing all of their D&D minis or pre-painted. I actually have, if I can grab the right hidden cubby over here. Well, they were right here. I must have put them somewhere else, but I have an actual package of one of the minis that they. Ooh, what do you got? Oh, one of the fidget Omni dice. Nice.
I don't call it fidget. I call it dice, but I fidget with it.
Yeah, it's all the dice in one. So when they were releasing 3.5, they were also showcasing how good miniature plastic had become, where they could just be like, here's the mini, it's all pre-painted. You can buy a random collection of I think it was 8 in a box, and they had their own little miniatures war game to play with it too. And they also had random dungeon maps to use with the miniatures handbook, little part of that article. Next article is the preview for Eberron. This was a So they were showing some art and info about the new campaign setting. This was part of what was called the Great Designer Search, where they were looking for the next person to come up with a really cool D&D world for everybody to play in.
Okay.
And I actually entered into that. I tried to put mine in Josh's D&D campaign into that, but I did not make it through to any of the future picks. I scrubbed out very early in it.
Aw, that's too bad.
Next article is the Arcane Ancestry. It's bloodline feats for the sorcerer. So if you could choose to have because sorcerers were all they didn't learn to get their magic, they got it from their family tree. So you had if you're somewhere, you had an air elemental, a dragon, a celestial, an earth elemental, fae, fiend, or water, fire. Whatever ancestor you had, you could take some feats to actually get some bonuses to your spells based on that type. Arcane alterations, spell templates, and feats needed to apply them. Basically, you could change the you could add on some special features to your spells. Like you could use concussive. Would anybody hit by that spell would have to make a balance check or get knocked over.
Okay.
They got shackled, which basically slowed down the target's movement, and invigorating. Your healing spells could actually heal the status effects, like dazed or blinded or stuff like that. And next article is the Faces of Faith, some variant cleric concepts. You have the Ancestral Speaker, which gets the commune with ancestors, bonus to social skills when dealing with the undead. Arcane Disciple, able to cast arcane spells as if they were divine, because even the god of magic needs to have some clerics. Aspirant, spontaneous casting is limited per day. They get AC bonus, counter spells. Benevolent is spontaneous casting and healing spells. They get to give good luck as a blessing, X number of times per day, based on the level. You get the Crusader, the combat-focused cleric with smite ability and turns foes followers. So it's almost like you're building mini paladin. The Evangelist basically gets full. They can spontaneously cast any of their cleric spells, instead of it being a certain domain, but they actually get less number of spells, but they're very, very all over the place. Next article is Changing Nature's Design, variant druids. You get the Wild Reaper, focuses on wild shape ability, but also good at fighting the undead. Windwalker gives up the wild shape for air spells. Metal Master gives up the wild shape ability, but develops a bunch of skills related to mining and metalcraft. And then you got the Winter Warden, which is a cold air flavored druid with a lot of ice powers.
Huh.
Right.
Ice powers.
Yeah, basically it's you get to create some. You get a bunch of spells that are all based around, and special abilities are all based around doing wind and ice-based damage.
Blinding snowstorms.
Yeah. The next article is the Music Master, prestige class for bards. There's the World Speaker, who has the ability to talk to anyone, people, planets, elementals, minerals, the dead. It just talks to everybody. The Mourner, which is a bard for the dead, can protect itself and others and the dead against death or necromancy spells.
Oh.
The Memory Smith, it's a dwarven bard, able to awaken the magic that's inherent in forged weapons and armor. The Battle Howler, which is a barbarian bard. Basically, like you get the rage ability and the musical abilities, so it's like death metal.
Nice.
Green Whisperer, bards that are able to affect animals, beasts, and plants, because normally bards can only affect humanoids. You're like, I can serenade and seduce the grass.
Oh, that would be so Josh's character.
Josh's character. Next up, we got the Wizards Workshop section of articles, which starts off with the plays the thing, combat expertise, fighter combos. Basically, some tips for players for building a more skillful fighter, such as using improved unarmed strike and two-weapon fighting. So you don't have to do like dagger, or actually have two different weapons. Just like fighting with your sword, and then you just punch him in the face. Exotic weapon proficiency, spike chain plus combat reflexes plus improved trip. It's like a 3-part combo, and I did this actually with a quarterstaff instead, because all you're using the spike chain for is to get a little bit of reach. And if you got combat expertise and you have improved trip, anytime anybody provokes an attack of opportunity, you can do a trip attack. And standing up provokes an attack of opportunity. So you can just constantly be like tripping people. And as soon as they go to stand up, you use your attack of opportunity to trip them again.
Nice.
Infuriated the heck. I had this one guy with a pole arm who was basically doing that to the entire party of people he was fighting. He'd use his regular attacks to trip everybody. Then when everybody started standing up, he'd use his because you only get one attack of opportunity on target. So he just trip everybody with his normal like 3 or 4 attacks, and then his like 3, his 3 attacks of opportunity he can make. He'd just be like trip. It was funny, but evil.
Yeah, that sounds like.
Then if you have both
to place the movement to stand up, won't you?
Yeah, it's all instead of like, why are you hitting yourself? It's like, why do you keep falling down? Why do you keep falling down? Why do you keep falling down? The other one that they had here, I thought was really dirty, was the ride by attack and trample. It's for mounted combat. So when you tell your horse to like just ride over them, they get trampled by the hooves, but you also get to take an attack with your sword.
Ooh, okay.
And if you're doing that on a charge, it doubles the damage.
Yeah. Nice.
Next article is the DM's Toolbox article talking about hirelings and follower NPCs you should use. So an investor, these are some NPCs every party should probably have on hand, or a DM should have on hand. An investor to handle the party's money.
Yeah.
Because when you like just carrying it around in that bag of holding is not making you more gold. Quartermaster to keep the PCs supplied, basically having like a queue that's like getting some new elvish invention, some new gnomish equipment for you. Or procured some very interesting potions you might need. Bodyguard for spellcasters, just somebody to soak up the extra damage so they can keep doing their thing. A healer for medical supplies, so that way I don't have to keep playing one in the party. We just hire one.
Yeah.
And there's some notes on how to use all those different types of NPCs. And there's a bunch more, but those were the ones that stood out to me. Next article is the Dungeon Craft, Dungeon Adventuring Part 3. The Inhabitants. Basically, it's looking at the organization and how the monsters are encounter/run a dungeon. Basically, the AI of the dungeon. Are they acting in alarm mode, which is if the party's making a bunch of noise, the monsters will come from where they are to go investigate it. Contingency model: if the players do X, the monsters do Y. Random path monsters, they're just roaming around like Pac-Man ghosts on the map. And then the plot model where the monsters are in the script and encountered in a set order. So it's not like you're not going to be like, okay, this one's not going to be a random encounter, because a random encounter is more like those wander around monsters or the contingency. Like if you go over this way, you're probably going to encounter this person. If it's like the big bad evil guy, you're going to encounter him in the lair. Or you're going to encounter, or if you're like, have to go rescue the prisoners, the guard is the person you're going to encounter. Well, rescuing the prisoners is part of the adventure into the dungeon. The next article, the last article in the magazine, is Sage Advice. It's the monthly FAQ column. It's still during this time of D&D. We didn't have a lot of message boards or places to go to be like, hey, how does this work? We either had to write into Dragon Magazine or we had to call Wizards 800 number. So stuff that stood out for me for answers to frequently some situation with spells. Once you activate a burst weapon, so frost, fire, etc., anything that when it hits a critical, it automatically does a little bit of extra damage. You don't need to keep activating it until you turn it off. So it's like once you go flame on, you go flame off. Next, there is no action needed to switch a spell slot to use spontaneous casting, because a lot of people are thinking it's like, oh, I gotta like take what action do I do? Is it a full round? Do I lose my movement? It's like no. Spontaneous caster, if you're able to swap out spells, instantaneous. And rules as written, any experience cost for a spell should be played by the scroll maker, but they do say for game balance, if you're having a scroll made for you, the person you find a scroll and you're casting from it, the caster should actually pay the experience points cost. So some like big powerful spells will actually drain your experience point total, and you can actually go down a level if that amount is just at the right point to cast certain spells. And yeah, it shouldn't be like, oh, I'll get some free experience point because I'll just have somebody make a scroll for me. It's like, no. We understand rules is written. We messed up. You should errata that to be like caster pays it. And that's everything that was in that issue.
That's got some good information. So definitely get what the characters need, instead of them having to search for a village all the time. Have the abilities right there. Have a whole party traveling with the adventurers.
Well, the great thing is like old school D&D. Actually, do you want to bring your volume just down a little bit? I think I'm getting a little feedback.
Try that.
Test. All right, yeah. I think we got it fixed now.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, like old school D&D, like at level 9 is when most adventurers would like start building their keep. Like level 9, you'd have enough gold on hand where you'd be like, okay, I'm going to buy myself a piece of land. I'm going to hire a bunch of people to work the land for me and work at my keep. And you'd hire people like your quartermaster, your blacksmith, and it would be these people that you've been that are in like the towns and villages that you've traveled through. You're like, hey, Bob the blacksmith, you want, like, I see that you got a nice little place here. Bob's apprentice. You're looking at Bob's apprentice, like, hey man, are you ready to go out on your own yet? Because we need a blacksmith. Like, how long until you're done and you're done your apprenticeship and you can come work for us? And you start hiring all these people, and then you're like, you have your base of operations, and usually what would happen is you have the whole party would probably go in on it all together and be like, well, it'd save us money if we all just had our own little headquarters. And you get the thief would be in charge of the dungeon of this stronghold, being like, okay, figure out all my traps, build a little treasure stash. Your wizard would do all your magical stuff. Your clerics and your paladins would have a little shrine to their god located next to it, and you just kind of like all move in together and have like a cool place you all hang out and live. It's like the dream that I have for like what I want to do with my life. It's like I just want to get my friends. We all get a place together, and we just play D&D all the time. That has been the dream since I was a kid.
Okay.
But a lot of people have gone away from that and have just been like, well, yeah, no. We'll, but even at low levels, just finding some NPCs to be like, we need somebody to tag along and fill a party role slot.
Yeah. Josh actually just bought a pocket D&D that comes with some characters in it. Comes with some other cards in it. So it's a little tin can. It has 2 dice, a pencil, and a blank little character sheet. 1 little character sheet. And it's just a small little tin.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I was like, ooh, neat. I just bought 4 books. 3 of them are encounter books. 1 of them is a dungeons book that shows different dungeons all the way to level 20 dungeons. There is an interesting dungeon. It goes down into the sea levels.
Ooh.
And it's like starts up here at level 1, goes level 1-2, level 1-3, level 1-4, and then goes 2-1. And it just goes down, over, through the water, back up the other side to 4-4.
All right. And it's designed to basically start off at as a level 1 character in the level 1 area.
Yeah, and actually, they recommend level 5, starting at level 5 in the level 1 area.
All right.
And by the time you get over here, you're supposed to hit close to level 20 of your character. Somehow, some way.
Oh,
I have yet to fully read it.
It sounds like a very interesting mega dungeon type setup, where you're just like basically going through and just fighting all sorts of different stuff. Yeah.
Oh, off the fridge. Okay.
But yeah, no, that's all I've got for this issue.
Yeah. I pulled the NPC information from there, keeping the NPC fillers for the group instead of just having the adventurers have NPCs with them, carrying their luggage or
getting some hirelings, carry all the gear and work with them. Yeah. All right. Well, that's all for this issue. Time for me to say peace.
Peace. We'll see you next time.
All right.
Hey everybody, thanks for staying till the end of the episode. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Follow us on Facebook at Board Barista Productions. And if you want to support us, Patreon link at the bottom.